So we just talked about random testing in its larger context as part of the software process. What I'd like to talk about now is one of the more advanced and frankly difficult parts of building a really good random test case generator. So as I was saying a little while ago, the best way to start random testing is start it early in the software process and start simple. And what's going to come out of a simple random test case generator is often a collection of testing results that are not particularly great. That is to say, we get shallow coverage, we violate many constraints on valid inputs, and overall it doesn't work all that well and probably doesn't find all that many bugs, unless we're testing a particularly weak system, like, for example, the Unix command line utilities from around 1990. So the thing to do with these results, look hard at the test cases. Think hard about how they relate to the overall shape of the input domain for the system. And so, for example, it may be that we're generating a superset of the input domain, that is to say we're generating invalid inputs, but it's also likely that in many cases we're generating a subset of the domain. That is to say, we're generating test cases that fail to explore some parts of the behavior space of the software under test, and that's going to lead to missed bugs. You should definitely look at the effect that the random test cases have on code coverage. Often this is extremely revealing because, as we've seen, it's really easy to write a random test case generator that gets very shallow coverage of the software under test. The next step, use what you've learned to adjust the rules that are in effect for generating random test cases and to tweak the probabilities. And if that sounds very vague at this point, then that's good because it is very vague. And what I'm going to do in a little bit is go into some specific examples. Of course, we can also add functionality to our random tester. And as I was saying earlier, it's often good to do this in a very slow and incremental fashion, so we avoid overloading people with bugs that they don't have time to fix. And this is an iterative process that doesn't stop as long as we're using the random tester. We should sort of kind of always keep looking at it and trying to evaluate how we can better adjust the random tester to find interesting things out about the software that we're testing. And I don't mean to say here that this has to take a lot of time. Something you do is just anytime you have time, every couple of weeks or however, or whenever, just take a look at the test cases, take a look at the coverage, think about things a little bit, see if anything has changed in the software under test that might make you want to tweak the random tester, and then basically you just put it back into production.